Hi, I'm Kate and welcome to this Stretch and Strengthen, working on abs, turnout and extensions. Start by lying on your mat with your knees bent and your arms by your sides. Lift your legs to tabletop with your hands behind your neck, and we're going to begin with some bicycle curls, bringing your opposite elbow to your knee. You want to just lift the shoulder blades off the floor and extend one leg as you bend the other. Off we go with 20. You want to pull your navel right to the back of the spine and keep breathing normally. This is a great exercise for the obliques. And relax. For our next ab exercise, we're going to do some beaten leg drops. So extending your legs up to the ceiling, flex your feet, rotate them, and then cross one in front of the other. You're going to beat the legs as you slowly drop both legs down to the floor, pulling your navel to the back of your spine. The lower you drop the legs, the harder it will be. You want to keep a neutral spine throughout. So that's a slight curve in the spine, but not too exaggerated. Okay, off we go with 5 reps. Not only does this exercise tackle the abs, but it also works on the adductors. Now working on the central area of the abs, we're going to do some toe reaches. So with your legs extended, you're going to lift your upper body off the floor, reaching your fingers to your toes. We're going to do 20. You want to keep your knees straight and just lift your shoulder blades off the floor, pulling in that tummy button right to the back of your spine. Now relax and hug your knees. We're now going to work on our extensions to the front with some développés and enveloppés. Starting with développés, you're going to bend and extend the leg to the ceiling, drop it down to the floor, and then repeat this movement, adding a flexed foot as you lower. Then for the enveloppé, we're going to reverse this movement. You want to make sure the other knee is bent with the knee pointing up to the ceiling. We're going to do 8. It's very important to keep your hips still during these développés and enveloppés. So if you like, you can put your hands on your hip bones to check they're not moving. There can also be a tendency to open out the knee that's bent. So keep checking in on it, making sure that it's parallel and pointing up to the ceiling. You don't want the leg to drop down and touch the floor at any point. It should always just hover off the floor by a few inches. And now let's repeat everything on the other leg. Now an exercise working on our turnout. Opening the knees out to the side with the feet pointed and the heels lifted off the floor. You're going to extend one leg to the sky, bend the knee as you press it open as much as possible, extend it and then lower back down. We're going to do 8 attitude presses on each leg. You should be really working with a feeling of resistance when you bend the knee and press it out to the side. This is to create more mobility in the hip and strengthen your turnout. Don't let the heels drop down to the floor, so the supporting leg should always have just the toes touching with the heels lifted. This is also great for strengthening the lower legs and ankles. And now repeat everything on the other leg. Now, moving onto your side with one hand underneath your head and one arm in front of you to support you, legs slightly in front and in parallel. We're going to lift the legs off the floor so they're hovering just a few centimeters off the floor. Rotate the legs and then développé one leg à la seconde and lower it back down. We'll do this 8 times, then we'll lower the legs onto the floor and repeat with 8 enveloppés, and then we'll finish again by hovering the legs off the floor and doing 10 retiré hip openers. Okay, let's start with our développés à la seconde. In hovering the legs off the floor, you're also activating the obliques. Développéing the leg to the side not only works on the mobility of the hip and pushes your turnout, but also increases your flexibility and strength to hold the leg out to the side. It's important to lift using the adductors, so you're really rotating the legs and turning them out as much as possible. With our enveloppés, you can go for a slight grand battement as you lift the leg up to the side. This will increase the stretch slightly and require more strength and control from your core. Now for our retiré openers, again making sure the lower leg is lifted off the floor, you're going to really activate the glutes here and push your turnout. It's important to keep the abs activated so we have a really strong core to support us. Great, and now switch over to the other side and we'll repeat everything on the other leg. Our next exercise is also going to work on the glutes. We're going to do some raised clams by lifting the feet off the floor and then opening and closing the top knee. We're going to do 10 of these on each side. Again, it's important to keep the hips very still. So you want to open and close the knees just by letting the hip move in the hip socket, rather than letting the whole pelvis move. You can stabilize yourself with the arm that's in front of you. Now switch sides and we'll do everything on the other leg. Clams are a great exercise not only for strengthening the glutes, which are so important in ballet, but they also help increase your turnout and strength in the hips. We have one last exercise focusing on the hip rotators and the glutes. So starting on all fours, extend one leg to the side, foot pointed, and then you're going to lift the leg and tap the toe back down to the floor, keeping your hip bones facing down to the floor without raising them. We're going to do 10 on each leg. Try not to hold any tension in your neck, and make sure your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. Don't worry if you can't lift your leg very high off the floor. Even if it's just 1 centimetre, that's fine. It's more important to focus on correct alignment. And relax. Have a quick stretch in child's pose, and we'll go on to the other side. And relax. Now an exercise that focuses on our lower back, hip rotation and hamstrings. Sitting with your legs in front, make sure you have a really long spine, flex your feet and rotate them to first position. Make sure there's no sinking in the lower back, and then you're going to lift each leg individually, maintaining your turnout and without slumping in the back. We're going to do 10 on each leg. And now 10 on the other leg. Our next exercise focuses on extensions to the back. So in a stag position, with both knees bent, elbows on the floor, you're going to try and lift the back leg, maintaining an attitude position. This creates mobility in the hips and it strengthens the glutes as well as the back. We're going to do 10 on each side. It doesn't matter how high you lift the leg off the floor, as this is a really difficult exercise. It's far more important that you focus on the correct posture and placement. And now switch sides. Find your stag position, elbows on the floor, nice long neck, off we go. We've worked the hips and glutes a lot, so we're going to do a seated twist. Bring your foot either behind the knee or in front of it, and then reach your opposite arm up and over and place it behind your top knee. Then twist around in opposition. Lengthen through the spine and keep breathing normally. And now switch over, putting the other leg in front. Reach your arm up and behind the knee and twist, pulling up through the back. We're next going to look at our extensions to the back. So this is going to be anything like an arabesque, for example. You're going to lift one leg into retiré, extend it behind you and lower back down. We're going to do 8 développés. And repeat on the other leg. Now pushing up onto your hands and knees, making sure the neck is long. You're going to extend one leg and we're going to do some grand battement to the back. Make sure you're not lifting the chin or dropping the pelvis. It's important to control the descent of the leg as you lower down. So you want to go up quickly, maintaining a long spine, and then control as you lower down. And now switch sides. This is a great exercise if you're working on your arabesques, and it also strengthens the back. As always, make sure your hips are level and your hip bones are facing down to the floor rather than hitching or twisting. And now lower the hips and stretch out in a seal stretch, pressing the hands into the floor and lifting the chin. You can have the legs open for a more relaxed stretch or bring the legs together for more of a challenge. We're now going to do a half bow stretch. So bring your opposite hand to leg, push up with the other hand and lift your chin. And now switch sides. If you're not able to do this, don't worry. You can repeat your seal stretch, but lifting one foot off the floor. Now you can either push back and relax in child's pose, or if you're looking for a deeper back bend, you can move on to a one-arm kneeling back bend. Circling your arms back, holding onto your ankle and lifting the other arm up to the sky. And then repeat on the other side. Now relax the back and stretch back in child's pose. Now stretching out the hips and the hamstrings, we're going to hug one knee with the other leg extended on the floor. This is to open out the hips. And now hold onto your heel opening the knee out to the side. You don't have to hold onto your heel, you could hold onto your calf or below the knee. This is a half happy baby. This is a great hip opener and will help you with your extensions to the side or, for example, grand plie in second. Now extend that leg to the ceiling, stretching both knees. This is a deep hamstring stretch. If you want to go further, you can open the leg out to the side. Relax and switch sides. Now stretching out the hamstrings and the lower back, sitting up, flexing the feet for an extra challenge. You're going to reach your arms all the way forward and relax the head down to the legs. Let gravity pull you down and breathe normally. We're going to repeat this with the legs turned out. This is going to be a lot more challenging. Now moving on to your front, we're going to do a frog stretch, bringing the soles of the feet together and opening the knees out to the side, keeping the hip bones on the floor. You're going to press the heels down to the floor and count to 5. Then relax the heels and let them come up. This is an active stretch, as we're only stretching whilst we're pressing the heels down to the floor. Now open out the lower legs to the side, so you're sort of in a lying grand plie in second. Push back onto your elbows and let the knees slide apart. This is a hip opener, so it will help you with things like extensions to the side or box splits, for example. Now pushing up into parallel fourth, hands either side of your front foot, letting your head drop down. We're going to hold this stretch. Pushing forward onto your hands, lifting up one leg to the ceiling, we're going to go into a penchée stretch. Drop the leg back down. And we're now going to pivot the legs into parallel second before pressing the hands into the knees to open them out. Dropping down into a half middle split, you should have one leg extended and one knee bent. You can press your hand into the knee to open it out further if you like. And now swiveling round to repeat everything on the other leg. This whole sequence should help you work towards your front splits and your middle splits. And now finally opening out the legs into our middle splits. It doesn't matter how far the legs are open, make sure it's not an uncomfortable position but you feel a slight stretch. Then walk the hands forwards, keeping the palms flat on the floor. And you can either just bend the elbows and drop the chin, or if you're more mobile, you can go all the way forwards. It's important to keep the legs turned out, so your ankle bones should be off the floor. Now try to see if you can inch forwards a little bit, and we'll repeat this stretch. And that concludes our stretch and strengthen for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to check out the other videos in this series.